Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Spirit Daughter podcast. I'm Jill Winterstein, aka Spirit Daughter, and today we are continuing our element series with fire. So if you haven't tuned in, listen to our water and our earth sign episodes. Today, though, is all about fire. So we're talking about Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. I will say, I feel like the fire signs often get a bad rap. They're called too much or dramatic. And yes, when fire signs enter a room, everyone notices. They don't realize they're doing this usually, but they just have this energy about them that people can't stop looking at. And so they find themselves in the center of attention. We'll get into each of these three signs in a moment. But let's first talk about fire. What is fire really? Yes, fire can be destructive. Fire can be chaotic. Fire can get out of control. But really, fire brings action. Fire brings inspiration. Fire sustains. So where earth builds and water feels, fire brings life. Fire brings life force. And whenever we need to create change in our lives, whenever we need the motivation to act, we want to lean into our fire placements in our chart. And if you don't have any, right, you want to lean into the closest thing or people near you that have a lot of fire and borrow the inspiration from them. I will say to those of you that have a lot of fire placements, you're probably told as a kid or at some point in your life that you were too much, you were too intense, you were too dramatic, you were too this, too that, right? Know that you have permission to be anything that you want to be. Fire signs are told this so often, and then they end up playing small. They end up holding back their light. And then the world doesn't get their brightest gifts. So if you're a fire sign that was told that you were too much at any point in your life, know that this episode is here to give you permission to be yourself, to shine your brightest, and to take up the space that you truly deserve. Let's begin with Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's a cardinal sign. So cardinal signs begin. They start our seasons. So Aries begins spring for those of us in the northern hemisphere, or fall for those of us in the southern. It starts, it initiates. Aries is the pioneer of the zodiac. It gives us courage and it embodies that courage within it. It's also ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of desire, of action, of ambition, and also war. Aries gives us the fight for what we believe in, for what we love, right? Aries is that energy that you want when you're motivated or you want to find your purpose. Aries helps us direct our entire life toward what we love most in this world. And then it gives us the motivation to get out of bed and pursue it. And if you have a lot of Aries placements in your chart or you're an Aries sun sign, you do well under pressure. So Aries are always seeking out novel experiences, new experiences that might feel stressful. They might feel like they're climbing a mountain for the first time. They're the ones that are always doing the quote unquote crazy things, or maybe even just driving across town to try a new restaurant they haven't been to before. They're the ones who take their little kids on long plane trips to experience a new country when most of us would be like, what? You took a 2-year-old on a 10-hour trip? Aries do that. Aries love the pressure of life. They thrive in stressful situations because that's what gives them the courage to find what they're here for in life. Aries want to develop courage. They like new situations because they ask them to become somebody new, to dig deep, to find their strength, to find their warrior spirit. Aries also love to commit to new things, new projects. They're the starters of the zodiac. They initiate. They always have a million ideas. If you ever need a new idea for anything, just ask an Aries. They need to, though, practice and focus on sustaining the things they start. So, a lot of times, Aries will be that traditional fire sign in the sense they come out blazing. There's a big burst of energy. They start a new project. They're super inspired and motivated by something. And then a few weeks go by, or life throws them a curveball, and they burn out. And this isn't because they lack focus or ambition, it's because they go full force right from the start. They go 0 to 60 instantly. There is no 20, there is no 30. They just go all into the deep end. And so that can be hard to sustain. And so for Aries, they really want to focus on practices that help them sustain their energy, that help them recharge, that give them some earth under their fire, right? So fire needs air to lift it up, and it needs earth to find its grounding. And so I know a lot of fire signs, and Aries in particular, that end up really comfortable around earth signs or people who have a lot of earth placements, because that earth gives them a container, that earth grounds them. Now, you don't want too much grounding because then you'll end up feeling flat and uninspired, but you want just enough so that you don't blaze the fire up towards too high and then burn out. And so air signs, when we talk about alchemizing the elements, air signs can draw that fire too high. And so they want to look at their air sign friends and just notice if they're giving too much in that type of relationship, or if those air signs are causing them to burn out in some way. They need a balance of both. And overall, they need practices. So they need things that restore them, some self-care, walks in nature, connecting with the earth itself, so that they continue climbing the mountain that they were here to climb. Because Aries are always looking for their next mountain, and they'll eagerly start the climb, but they need the energy to sustain it to get to the top. And once they do, they feel absolutely amazing. They find their purpose, because Aries are really here to find their purpose. And no, they're not selfish. I feel like Aries get really thrown under the bus for that. Right? If you look at any kind of meme on Instagram, they're always talking about Aries signs being selfish. They're not selfish. They just know how to prioritize themselves, their needs, and their purpose. And honestly, we could all learn from the Aries in our lives on how to do that, how to genuinely put ourselves first, not in a selfish way, but in a way that feeds our purpose. Because Aries reminds us that when we're all aligned with our purpose in this world, the collective raises its vibration. We all find what we want to do and we feel fulfilled. And that's not selfish. That's actually just contributing your unique gifts to the world in the way they need it the most. And now let's move on to Leo. Leo is a fixed sign, meaning it actually helps sustain the fire. So Aries generates the fire, it initiates it. Leo sustains it. And that's why it really is the sign of the creator, because it takes all that fire, sustains it, and creates with it. Leo is also ruled by the sun, which tells you almost everything you need to know about Leo. Right? Leo is the heart. It's ruled by the heart. And because its ruler is the sun, when Leo sun signs or people with strong Leo placements walk into the room, they naturally become the center of attention. This is something that happens to them from the time they are children. And some of them, most of them, shy away from this attention. So they end up hiding or playing small because there's so many glances that come their way, even from when they're little kids. They naturally take up the space in the room, but when they feel like they're overwhelming or a burden because of the way they naturally take up space, they end up shrinking. So if you have a Leo sun sign or you have strong Leo placements, you're here to take up space. You're here to create. You're here to create from your heart. And one of the journeys that Leos are really understanding in this lifetime is how to create, how to stand on a stage, how to lead, and also understand that that leadership, that presence, that magnetic quality that they have comes with vulnerability. It's very hard to stand on a stage, speak your creative truth, speak your creative ideas, express yourself from your heart without feeling vulnerable. And so the journey isn't to get rid of this vulnerability. It's to learn to lead with it. And the greatest leaders in our time have learned to lead with vulnerability. They stand in the spotlight. They stand in the middle of the arena. They know they're being seen from every angle. They know they're being judged. They know that not everybody will like them. Hopefully, some of the people will like them, but other people will throw stones at them. They stand anyway. They stand in front of others. They stand on that stage. They know that they are an open book. They know that they are up for judgment. They know that they wear their heart on a sleeve, and yet they do it anyway because they also know that they have an idea or a thought or a presence or an energy that can shape and lead people forward, that can lead society forward. So your Leo friends need a lot of encouragement. They may seem super confident. Every Leo I've ever met is very confident, and yet they still need encouragement because that confidence comes with a price. They're like, yes, I know I need to do this. Yes, I know I'm capable of doing this, and yet I still feel scared. I still need to know that I will be loved no matter what. If I fail, if people laugh at me, if people throw stones at me, I'm still worthy of love and belonging, because at the center of Leo is the heart, and their heart is so vulnerable and so big and loves so greatly. This is why Leos are known as the loyal lion of the zodiac, because they are loyal to a fault. Their heart wants to connect with others, wants to be seen. They want to love, and they want to love people forever. And that's why Leos can end up staying in relationships long past its expiration date, because they are loyal to the core. They want to stay in love. They love being in love, and they love to be loved. And so oftentimes they'll maintain a relationship that is long past over just because they are so loyal. Now, I will say there is a lower side to Leo, and that is this desperation for approval. And this is often what you see on the Instagram memes where they're always making fun of Leos, saying they have to be the center of attention, or they need to be seen, or they're overly dramatic. And that's because Leos in their low side, every sign has a high side and a low side, desperately need that approval. They can't gain the approval from themselves, so they'll do anything to get the attention and to get the applause. And so sometimes that will make them abandon themselves. That will make them abandon their heart. That will make them abandon the center of themselves. And that's so important that Leos stay in their center, because they are ruled by the sun, which is the center of the solar system. And so they need to remain there. They need to remain in their joy. They need to remain in their heart. And so if they're in a low energy, that means they're grasping for approval. They're doing things just to be seen for the sake of being seen. And so how do you reach for the high energy if you're a Leo or have strong Leo placements and have ended up in that lower energy? You reach for your joy. You reach for the things that bring you life. You reach for your own internal sun. And so you spend time doing what you love. You remind yourself what you love most about life, and you get into your creativity, right? Leo is all about creation. It's all about being that creator and that leader from the heart. And so you dive into your creativity and you remember what you love and why you love yourself. And remember that the only approval you need in this world is your own. And so pass this message on to yourself if you're a Leo, or to your Leo friends, and know that you are exactly where you need to be, and the only applause you need comes from within. Okay, let's get to our third fire sign, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable sign, so that means this is where the energy shifts and changes a little bit, and it always leads us into the next season. So Sagittarius leads us into Capricorn season, which is the start of winter, or for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, the start of summer. So this is the shifting of the seasons. Sagittarius is also ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and luck. I always like to think of Jupiter as like the jolly guy at the party. It just brings warmth, it brings energy. And that's exactly what most Sagittarius sun signs or people with Sagittarius placements bring to the room. They bring joy, they bring optimism, they bring a new perspective on adventure, they bring the higher meaning. And so Sagittarius are known as the seekers in this world. They're always seeking new experiences, new adventures. That's why this is often the sign of travel or wanderlust. Sagittarius love their freedom. They love to use that fire within them to motivate them to travel, to go to different places. And this isn't just to spend a week vacation at a resort. This is about going in and merging with a different culture to get the different experience of life, to get the different perspective. Sagittarius love to view things from different angles. And one of the things that we can all learn from Sagittarius is to find the higher meaning in any adventure. And so what makes an adventure? What makes an adventure is it doesn't always go as planned, right? There's positive things, there's negative things, there's things that work out great, there's curveballs that come, but through it all, we can grow, we can learn, we can evolve, and we can find the higher meaning of all of it. And Sagittarius really teaches us that the adventure, the travel, the seeking, the learning different things, picking up a book that you may have never picked up before just to learn something new that you hadn't thought about, right? That all helps us evolve, right? So even if you take a trip, you take an adventure and everything goes south, your luggage gets lost, your passport goes missing, you end up in a hotel you never thought you would end up in, right? You find the higher meaning, you find the adventure, you let it evolve you. And this is what Sagittarius really teaches us, is to find that silver lining. And yes, Sagittarius is also the philosopher. Sagittarius is always trying to understand the bigger meaning, right? The bigger picture of life. It's always looking at the ways to connect the dots. So if you're a Sagittarius sun sign or you have strong Sagittarius placements, you are in an expanded consciousness, meaning you can take in the details. You can take in seemingly opposing viewpoints and information, and you can synthesize all of it. You can find the truth in all of it, even opposing ideals. And so the world really needs people like this. The world needs people who can hold two truths simultaneously and find the higher meaning in all of it. They also need people who can look at painful experiences and find the higher meaning in even those. And so, you know what? This is part of my journey. I'm grateful that this happened to me, even if it was painful, even if it was challenging. It made me who I am. And so Sagittarius carry that gift for the world. And if you're a Sagittarius sun sign, that is your gift to help others find the truth, to find the higher meaning in every experience. I will say the shadow side of Sagittarius, so the lower side, is more of a dogmatic view. So it's that idea that you're the philosopher who has gained all the knowledge already and you know everything. And so you end up being in this I know it all attitude. And that's never fun in life. And so if you're a Sagittarius who has found yourself in that place, and look, maybe you know a lot of things. Maybe you've traveled the world. Maybe you've read 18,000 different books. Maybe you do know most of what is out there in the world. You don't know it all. And so you have to remind yourself that, hey, I'm existing in this world with other people so I can learn from them. And then challenge yourself to take a new adventure, to go into the unknown, to leave what you do know, which may be vast, and go on a trip that takes you out of your comfort zone, or go to a new cafe, do something that takes you out of your comfort zone and feel the freedom in not knowing something. Because there's power in the unknown, and there's also your limitless potential. And for people with strong Sagittarian placements, they need that adventure. They need to be in the unknown. That's what helps them expand to their potential, to find their joy, to find their optimism and their positivity in every situation, and teach others to do the same. Well, that concludes our fire signs episode. I hope you learned something about yourself or some people in the world. And remember, fire causes action, and action and change are what we need in life sometimes. And so fire is this beautiful energy that can help us transform. If you know a fire sign, send them this episode, have them take a listen, see what they think. And if you want to learn more, tune in next week. I'll be talking all about our last sign in this element series, the air signs. And for more information about astrology, personal astrology, collective astrology, follow me on Instagram at Spirit Daughter. Dive even deeper on the website at spiritdaughter.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast to tune in every week. I'll see you soon.